how to choose the right priorities. In this video, I got you in mind. Roll it. Alright guys, in this video series of My Life Needs Fixing, I go into several different areas of our lives that we're always complaining about, things that we're always trying to build on, things that we're always trying to work towards, and really putting a nice look at how we can start shaping our lives such that we can have success, the success we've been looking for. If you came to this channel because of the business, or you came to this channel because of the relationship talk, or maybe it was a career talk, one thing I always try to do is look at the holistic side of things, your whole life, because all those things relate to one another. See, after being in so many different business engagements, I've realized that each partner brought along their baggage. Anything that was going on in their life, we had to address it. It's not easy. It's not. When you're starting a business, or you're changing careers, or you're starting, new school, new life adventure, all of these things require for you to start looking at it from a perspective of what's your priority. Priorities are critical to your success. And when I started going through this process of analyzing everything and realizing how everything works in people's lives and the human psychology behind it, it started helping me find success. Don't get me wrong, I've been burnt before because of that baggage stuff people had, but the reality is that it wasn't the baggage, it was the priorities. Priorities weren't set properly by the people that I started working with, and because of that, the work started to suffer. That package deal that we thought we had and that we're gonna really just win, it wasn't happening. There was family, whether it was kids, husband, wife, whether it was business and other businesses, whether it was just the money. It all fell down to priorities. Don't get me wrong, I'll make more videos on other things that affect it, like habits for instance, and when you meet somebody and within 3 months you got a business rolling with them, you don't really know their habits, you don't know their true self. Things like that, yeah, they exist. However, a critical factor to success is that priority. See, when I jump into a project, my priorities, they're realigned for that project. Now I know people who have been there and the priorities are there, and let's look at it from the perspective of the other person, because whether you started a business, whether you started school, whether you started a relationship, whether you started a family, priorities started taking over, and we saw what the priorities were. So with a business partner, it's the same thing as when you get into a relationship, and when you're with a family, it's the same thing with your husband or wife. Priorities change, especially when you have kids. Everything starts to kind of mutate. Having control on the priorities really helps you gain traction and have a clear direction of where you're headed. One of the biggest things I see, especially with people that have a business, they kind of fall apart. It's kind of like people that are in school and all of a sudden, a kid's on the way, or, people are in a career and all of a sudden a kid's in the way, or they get married and the other partner has to go work somewhere else and they have a better offer, and money-wise it just makes sense to uproot and go. With priorities being aligned to our inner wantings, our needs, what we value most, and the direction that we're headed to is a clear indication of how well aligned we are with those priorities. This allows us to move in line and adjust accordingly with other things that are happening in our lives. Business is a great example for me to really dive in on this topic. It is on relationships too, but on business, it's quite the thing to see because it's your livelihood. It's what you need to eat. But then comes along a relationship, and the relationship derails that vision you had with the business. And I often see this where somebody comes to me and they go, well, my business is suffering. And it wasn't suffering, but the last 6 months, 8 months, a year, 2 years, it's gone downhill. The question immediately is, what's changed? 99% of the time, it's priorities. It's a new relationship, whether it's a new family members coming, whether it's something occurring within the family, like an illness. time's taken away and your priorities start to change without you wanting them to change. Now you can say, yes, Nico, but sometimes things aren't controllable. You need to go with the flow, and you got to take the punches as you go, and I totally understand that. I've been through it. However, the question is, how much are you willing to give up on those priorities, and at what cost? If we set up a strong foundation on priorities, then we're able to adjust accordingly and able to accommodate such that our priorities aren't totally misplaced. They're not derailed. We don't lose that passion we have in our life. We don't lose out on the things we were going for. Now there's 3 different things we gotta look at when we're setting priorities. 1, do we have priorities? Are we trying to get it in check for the first time? Is this been a couple years where you haven't done this and you're kind of like, I gotta set my priorities. I'm going into a new business. I'm starting a new relationship. A new family member's coming. What are our priorities? And if you haven't said anything, you've never done this before, well, now you're starting fresh. And you have to look at it from the perspective of, how am I gonna set these so I can best have success? If you're in this position, you gotta make a list of everything and ask yourself, what are the things that I know I need to do? And you put those down. So if you're starting a business and you know that you have to spend 8 hours a day and you gotta treat it like a job, then you're gonna go and do that. And you're gonna set it up, and that becomes a priority. What other things do you need with the business? Do you need to hire people? Do they become a priority? You make a list of all these things, and now they become priorities, and you adjust them accordingly. I had a video a while back, and it was all about, winning and how you need to really set yourself up for success. When you're looking at social media, for instance, you need to spend that 2-3 hours a day minimum in order to get your social media working for your business. Becomes a priority. This works in the same thing for anything, careers, relationships. It's not just business, it's on everything. We're setting priorities to succeed. If you're on your own, it's much easier to set these priorities because it's you. But when people are involved, now you gotta really sit down and take these priorities, these lists that you've created, and look at the whole schedule in your day and all the things that you need to accommodate others for. You gotta also look at your wants and your needs, and you have to judge accordingly how much these priorities mean to you. You set up the timelines that you need to address these priorities and make sure that these things are done first. They come first. So if it is that, you're working and you've got your business rolling and somebody comes along and they tell you, let's go out, or you have a new relationship and they're demanding for you to have more nights a week instead of working, you're gonna say no. Well, having these priorities makes it easier to say no. It's easier for you to say, I know what I need right now, and it's not what you want me to do. So how does this help us? Well, just look at the big picture of that no. And once you can say no in a flash, snap of a fingers, I guess, boom, you're done. You're ready to get moving in the right direction right away, and you have no regrets. Regrets are a critical factor in this process, and you have to adjust accordingly as you're creating this list of priorities. My number 1 priority right now is to make the videos each and every day, no matter what. So I will make sure that before I go to bed, I've created that video. If I wake up in the morning and I have my list of things to do and I can't pump out the video, I know I'm gonna set up a time where I will get it done by a certain time in the day. And I will cut out anything else I was supposed to be doing to make sure this video gets posted. Now let's look at number 2. What if you have your priorities in line, everything's working great, but now, Nico, my life's upside down. I have a new girlfriend. I really want to make it work. A child came into my life. It's crazy. I'm going to be a father, or I'm going to be a mother. We're going to have the 3rd kid. Maybe somebody's ill in the family, and now you have to spend the time. Our priorities are continually changing, but our vision of what we want, our mission and purpose in life, that can't change. That needs to keep moving forward. Now, if your priorities have been in line all this time, the person that's coming into your life or the person that's been in your life will understand, as long as you stick to your values and you make sure that your priorities are always on point. The clear understanding here is that you need to accommodate, and you will accommodate as much as you can in order for you to make sure that your purpose hasn't changed. So instead of maybe spending 3 hours a day on social media, you're gonna spend an hour a day, and maybe you will limit it down. But along comes a plan with you to address the changes that are coming. Each priority now has to be reanalyzed, and with whomever is involved in the picture, a serious set of conversations have to occur. Priorities that are coming, the new priorities that have to occur, have to be addressed. Then they have to be integrated nicely so they fit with your current priorities, such that there is no conflicts. Doing this changes everything and makes your life so much simpler, because we all can now sit there and know exactly what needs to be done on a daily basis, on a weekly basis, on a monthly basis. If this is too challenging for you, this is where you need to seek help. And by all means, do not miss out on seeking help. Why? Because it will help you realign yourself quicker than you sitting around lollygagging. Which brings me to the next point. What happens? And this is number 3. What happens when you're kind of losing focus, you're losing that purpose, that mission in life? You're not there anymore. You want change. It does happen all the time to us. And this is where looking for the next stage in your life needs to come quicker than not. This is where we need to address where your life is moving to. If your values have changed, if that purpose is mutating to something more, if it's becoming something that you've been wanting to do for a long time and change is coming, this is where we need to sit down and ask ourselves, how much time do I need to figure it out? And at the same time, what do I need to do in that time so that I can figure it out? Do not just quit doing what you're doing so you can jump into something else with a break in between. Having a professional around you that can help you, whether it's a coach, a consultant, a counselor, or maybe a psychologist. Getting a clear direction before you jump boat on what you're doing, to go and venture off to find what you're looking for, will help you dearly, because the next stage is already inside of us. We already know what we've been looking for. Yes, sometimes it just comes along and you don't even know, it just hits you in the face and you're like, yes, I want to do that. Oftentimes it comes from meeting people, knowing people who are doing the things we've always wanted to do. It comes from reading and learning about what others have achieved in their lives, and your achievements start to change. Being able to set up your priorities so you can move towards your next purpose, that next mission in your life, this is critical. Because whatever's happening in your life, and usually at this stage, you have a family, you have responsibilities that are there, and these priorities are there. You now have to change those other priorities that are part of your mission and purpose in life, and you gotta bring in new ones. Change is always hard, especially this kind of change. So take the time and really think about where you're at in life, and what of the 3 steps are you? And based on that, start writing down these priorities and start actively looking at your inner self, asking yourself, where do I want to be in 5 years, and how does all of this align with my purpose? This will be critical to your success. And based on that, start actively looking specifically at the priorities that will bring you to that next stage. When I say this change is hard, and when I say it's one of the hardest changes that you'll ever go through, it's because it's life decisions. They're life decisions that you're making that are going to run you through the next 5-10 years. These moments are critical to your success. Whether it's a business and you need to spend more time on the business to see it grow, to see it succeed. Whether it's a relationship that's new and fresh, or a relationship you've been in for a long, long time. Or if it's family where new members are coming, or people are regretfully having to go. Priorities. This change is huge. And when we look at it, we need to look at our inside and say to ourselves, what is it that I need? What is it that I want? What are my number 1, 2, 3 priorities? How do I align them with the priorities of the people in my life? And how do I maintain my mission and purpose in life? My name is Nikos Rentas, mentorsapproach.com. Comment below and let me know, what is it that you guys do so that your priorities align with your mission and purpose in life. And if you're having troubles with it, ask away. This is the learning moment. This is a pivotal moment. And also, of course, like and subscribe.